Nebraska's winter wheat growers are expected to produce 60 million bushels this season on an average yield of 50 bushels per acre. That output is up 30% from 2015, while the yield is up 12 bushels per acre and would be a new record for the state. Producers here have harvested 92% of the crop according to the latest progress report. That's a jump of 17 points from a week ago and 18 points ahead of the state's 5-year average. Farmers across the country are bringing in a crop that's expected to be 19% bigger than a year ago, with prices significantly cheaper. To get a recap of the growing season in western Nebraska, we talked with Nebraska Extension's Cody Creech in Scottsbluff last week. We started by asking for an update on harvest progress in that area of the country.
Well, I was just coming back from Wyoming, and I actually passed a few harvest crews going the other direction heading up to Montana, so it's really wrapping up out here. I think by the next week or so we should be on the tail end of it.
What are we looking at for yields?
The producers across the state have been pretty pleased with what they've been getting off the fields. For irrigated ground, most producers are getting around that 100 bushel range, which is nice to see. The dryland guys are starting to push that 50 bushel range. For the dryland guys, that makes them pretty happy.
What things led to such a good year for wheat producers?
Well, this year we had a number of things that went right for us. First off, the wheat came out of the winter really good. If you remember in 2015, we had a lot of winter kill and a lot of poor thin stands. This year we almost had no winter kill, so we had really strong stands, and then we had lots of moisture in the winter, lots of precipitation in the spring. And so if you look back over the last 5 years as far as the USDA soil moisture ratings, we haven't had a year like this in at least the last 5 years.
What about the protein content for this year's crop?
The protein is one aspect of the wheat harvest that has producers a little bit down. With the higher wheat yields, that tends to fall. Most folks are still in that 9 to 10% range, which is below the level they need to be. They need to be about that 11.5 range. However, those folks that did manage their wheat crop correctly were able to achieve 13-14% protein this year.
Can you tell me why that's important? What role protein plays for a seller of wheat?
Protein is really important, especially for the baking quality of the wheat. What we ran into this year, though, when the wheat yields go up, wheat requires that nitrogen to create that protein in the wheat kernel, where we typically fertilize for a lower yield threshold, and this year we went up above that, and because of that, that wheat protein suffered this year.
We talked a lot about the good stuff that happened to this year's crop. Were there any disease issues or other problems that growers did face?
The biggest one we had out here in the Panhandle was the rust issue. We did better than in 2015. In 2015, we probably only had about 25% of the producers actually spray a fungicide on their wheat. This year, I would think we're closer to 75% that we're actually able to get out there and spray, which helped a lot. We did have a few isolated areas that had a lot of rust move in, and those areas definitely saw that yield drag of probably 20 bushel. Yields were around 25 to 30 bushel on those fields that had a lot of rust out there.
From your perspective, anything that farmers should keep in mind when they think about next year's winter wheat crop?
Well, the biggest thing with the wheat crop, especially with the prices the way they are, is just being able to think about the right fertility treatments out there. This year we suffered on the protein because we didn't have enough fertility out there. But being able to make decisions on the fly, really just being out scouting. Folks need to be out scouting for those diseases when they first appear, especially the rust. We can make timely applications. That's a real struggle with the rust. The other thing would be for the fertility. If we get a lot of rain in the spring, folks need to go out there and make another application of nitrogen to make sure we have the correct protein levels.
Some producers who don't grow wheat or aren't used to the rotation probably look at the prices now and wonder why you would even produce it. What's the answer to that?
Well, wheat's a really good fit for a lot of crop rotations. It actually fits well, especially in the dryland setting, because it is a really good water user. It's highly efficient, and then it produces a lot of residue. You see out in this field here that we have almost waist-high wheat. It produces great residue, so that for the following year's crop, whether it be dryland corn or sunflowers or whatever it is, it really conserves the soil moisture really well, so we can grow those other crops out here.